Hey, what's going on guys, and welcome back to another Fallout 4 modding video. Today, we're checking out a brand new early to mid-game SMG, or more specifically a machine pistol, and that's going to be the 38 machine pistol, otherwise known as the Mac 11, another Commonwealth weaponry expansion released by myself and Pig. That's right, another Mac 11 mod for Fallout 4. We only really have one Mac 11 by Doom, and we also have a Mac 10 by Eutherian, but I wanted to take my own spin on this thing, offering some different attachments and different ideas and options in my own style to make a brand new early to mid-game machine pistol with my balancing in mind. Now, by default, this weapon is going to be chambered in 38, hence the name, the 38 machine pistol, based on the real-life Mac 11 that does come chambered in 380. Now, of course, there are 9mm conversions for this weapon, but there are a ton of 9mm mods already out there, and putting it in 38 means it does not require munitions. That's right, this is going to be a vanilla release. No munitions required, just 38 and one optional version with 45. 38 is a weird ammo type because it is not specified in vanilla whether it is 380 or 38 special, but it's kind of just used interchangeably for both for most users, so we're going to use it to represent 380 for this guy as an early game, low damage option for this machine pistol. And low damage is something that is a character trait of this weapon, though it has a very high fire rate to back it up. So in the early game, it's going to have low damage, but very high fire rate to make it sort of competent, but it is going to blast through ammo very fast, and the magazine capacities don't get too huge, so you're going to be reloading quite a lot, especially if you throw on some of the more rapid receivers and other attachments that increase the fire rate for this weapon. Even though it does have a pretty low damage with perks and weapon upgrades, this thing still holds pretty competent into the mid-game, though it's not going to last you forever. Though there are some attachments and some uniques that may make it a little bit more of a utility weapon later in the game. Speaking of uniques, there are a handful of uniques for this mod, much like we always do. There are actually 3 that you can go out and collect. We'll talk about each one specifically in the more in-depth breakdown later on in the video, but these ones are really fun. Lots of fun media references in this mod. Now, balancing this thing is a little bit tricky, but we started spawning this around level 5. It'll spawn all over the wasteland on enemies like raiders and gunners, and of course you can always purchase one as well. Another interesting quirk with this mod is it actually does feature custom animations by War Daddy. That's right, some really cool fitting animations and 2 different sets, whether you want to hold this weapon two-handed or one-handed, and it even works dynamically as opposed to switching the animations via an attachment. And as always, this weapon is highly customizable over at the Weapons Workbench, featuring over 60 attachments in this mod to make this thing function in all kinds of fun and goofy ways, though it is always going to be a rapid-firing machine pistol. I think that covers all of the basics. Let's start checking out some of the finer details, starting off with the statistics over on the base version of the weapon. So here we are with a pretty basic version of the 38 machine pistol in a relatively standard configuration, offering a base damage of only 14 in my game. It's actually going to be a bit lower than that in yours, as I do have a couple of perks. Uses 38 as its ammo type. A fire rate of 181, this weapon is only available in fully automatic, and that fire rate can be boosted even higher. In fact, much higher with some of the different versions that are out there. The range is 67, an accuracy of 36, a weight of 4.3 pounds, and a value of only 32 caps, since these things are going to be pretty common. And in our mod, these things are actually going to be manufactured by Commonwealth Weaponry. Since a pretty basic weapon, this is something that could be manufactured in-game, I think, much like the service rifles were by the GRA in New Vegas. Now then, let's start talking about some of the fun parts of this mod, like the uniques, starting off with our first unique, No Mercy, an obvious reference to Left 4 Dead 2. This is going to do more damage against ghouls, as it is a zombie-killing machine, offers some interesting paint. It's very subtle, but there is a nice little biohazard symbol and some blood splattered on this weapon, and it even comes with the trademark taped-up suppressor with zip ties and a flashlight, and of course the nice little hanging strap, configured exactly like it was in Left 4 Dead 2. This one is a really fun one, and you can actually find this thing over in the MedTech Research Facility. The next unique we have is known as the Daywalker, and you may recognize this thing from a very popular comic adaptation movie, which is Blade. This thing has a 50% chance to heal you on hit, so this thing will actually heal you as you shoot. You may also recognize this legendary effect as the vampiric effect from Fallout 76. Pig has actually faithfully recreated it for Fallout 4. And this thing even comes with its own unique barrel attachment that can only be applied to this weapon. Very cool looking weapon, a super goofy sci-fi gun, but it looks very neat. A fun little hand blaster that you can walk around with. If you want to get your hands on this one, it's actually behind a locked door over in Hubris Comics, since Blade was originally a pretty cool comic book. And finally, a truly unique, this one's not based off of anything, we have the Anarchist Annihilator. This is going to be a Raider variant of a Mac 11 because you can't have a Mac without a Raider version. This thing has even faster fire rate and a faster reload speed, and comes with its own unique 50-round attachment. It is the highest capacity in the game for this mod, but it is only available for this weapon. And it's going to need it because it has, again, faster fire rate already innately, but also a rapid receiver and a muzzle booster that also increase the fire rate up to a total fire rate of 318, nearly double the vanilla fire rate for this weapon. And if you want to get your hands on this one, it's actually in a Raider-infested office building over in Cambridge. Now then, let's go ahead and talk about the custom animations for this mod, as there is some stuff to talk about here. Starting off with the basic set of animations, you do hold this weapon with 2 hands, and it is pretty accurate, surprisingly. If you tap fire, you are able to hit things that you aim at pretty easily. Usually. That last target always seems to give us a little bit of trouble. But if you spray this thing, it's going to be very hard to control. But yeah, it blows through ammo super fast. But there also are one-handed animations. If you throw on any accessory slot, it will switch to one-handed, which is pretty interesting. Neat little way to run the gun. They each have their own animations, which is pretty cool. And they even have different sprint animations, different melee animations, etc., depending on which version you happen to be using. Pretty neat stuff. I love that it's dynamic like that, and not just a simple animation swap attachment. Now then, let's talk about attachments over at the weapons workbench. Starting off, as usual, we have receivers. We have a pretty standard set here, standard, all the way up through a powerful piercing receiver and a rapid receiver. And we also have a 45 reach chamber if you're into that kind of thing, though I wouldn't recommend it. I would keep using this thing in 38 because you're probably going to have a whole lot of ammo for that. For barrels, we have the standard short barrel, a long vented barrel, which is pretty nice looking, a long light barrel offering a sort of different aesthetic, but a sort of similar one at the same time, a suppressed barrel, of course, which is going to offer no muzzle attachments, but it is going to be the best suppressor option, and a suppressed barrel with that zip-tied flashlight if you want the Left 4 Dead aesthetic. We also have grips, which are separate from the stocks, a nice little bit of extra customization. We have a plastic grip, a wood grip, and a steel grip. Then we also have taped versions of each of those if you're into that kind of thing. For magazines, we have standard, a quick eject version, medium, and a quick eject version, and of course large, and a quick eject version, coming in 20, 30, and 40 respectively. Then for sights, surprisingly, we do have some options for this guy. We have the standard iron sights, glow sights, which are pretty fun because they have a nice little ring sight in the back, a functional laser sight like we always have, a dot sight, which is a pretty cool new model that we made for the one of the pistols we made recently, as well as a custom hollow sight, which looks pretty nice as well, and a reflex sight, which are all mounted with a funky little scope mount that I found online for this thing. Pretty interesting, but it only accepts little tiny reflexes like this, no big scopes. For muzzles, we actually have a lot going on. We have the option for no muzzle, a makeshift bayonet, which as you can see is just a pretty much bent piece of metal fixed in place with a nice little nut there. We have a makeshift compensator made out of a lot of nuts welded together, a makeshift muzzle brake made out of some sheet metal that looks kind of like a Barrett muzzle brake. Pretty funny guy. A makeshift suppressor made out of a Nuka-Cola can, a flash hider, a spiked version of flash hider for more melee damage, a muzzle booster which increases the fire rate. Don't know why the textures aren't loading there. There we go. A compensator, a standard compensator that is better than the makeshift version, a muzzle brake, and a regular suppressor if you want to throw it on any of the long barrels instead of the suppressed barrel. For stocks, we have a handful of options as well, including no stock, a collapse stock, an extended version of said collapse stock, a comfort stock, which is a big bunch of welded sheet metal, a full stock, which is going to be a full wooden stock, a recoil stock, a gunslinger stock, which has a bunch of magazines attached and increases your reload speed, and a marksman stock, which has a nice little cheek rest. And then finally, that leaves the accessory section where you have option for no accessory, a strap, which will convert you into those dynamic one-handed animations, and then a handful of charms that all have different effects. Starting off with the strength charm, which gives you more bash damage, perception gives you better range, endurance gives you more damage resistance while you're using the weapon, the charisma charm gives you a better intimidation chance if the weapon is equipped during dialogue, and intelligence charms gives you more critical rates, the agility charm gives you faster reload speed, and the luck charm improves your critical damage. So yeah, as you can see, a ton of customization for a really fun early to mid-game weapon. This thing can actually last quite a while depending on how you use it, especially with that blade unique that can heal you. This thing can be used not to dish out damage, but actually as a tool to heal yourself and then swap to something bigger to take down bigger enemies. This thing's a lot of fun to use, and it's been really, really fun to make. If you want to try this mod out for yourself, it will be linked down in the description below. I know it is already on the Nexus since I uploaded it there. I am not sure yet, though, if there is an Xbox port, but I'm sure there will be one relatively soon if there isn't already. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed the mod, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, consider dropping an endorsement or a like for each of those respectively. It really helps me out. And consider supporting me down below on Patreon if you're into that kind of thing. Completely optional, of course. It is just for donations if you would like to, but you do not have to by any means. But the option is there. Again, all of that stuff linked down in the description as always. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed the mod, and I will see you in the next one. Peace!